Hey everyone, it's Theo, and in this video we're going to take a trip down memory lane. So if you will indulge an old man for a few long-winded minutes, I promise I have a point in all of this. Maybe. I joined Steam on February 28th, 2013 based on a coworker's recommendation. Up to that point, I had basically bought physical games at Best Buy. Once I got on Steam, everything changed, and I never bought another physical piece of media for a PC game again. 4 weeks into my journey on Steam, my son had found a game that we could both play together, Dungeon Defenders. I bought Dungeon Defenders on March 26, 2013, and sank over 2,000 hours into the game in 2013 and 2014. During that time, I met many amazing players who were nice, honest, and generous people. Players that I still chat with to this day: Asen, RCDM, Hellfire, Greymere, Certain, and Eagle, just to name a few. By 2014, I had started to move on from the game, but returned in 2020 to see all of the new maps that had been added by the community development team, and how the meta had changed since I had last played. I sank another 1,500 hours into the game as I worked on completing all of the new Steam achievements, but then Dungeon Defenders Awakened came out and I fell away from the game again. A few years later, DDA's development had halted, and I was done with the game, so I decided to return to DD1 around June of 2023. I remember feeling pretty confident in the stable of heroes I had. Many of them were around 5k main stats, dressed in a mix of trans and supreme gear, and maybe even some of them had ultimate gear. So I charged back into DD1 with my amazing heroes and soon realized that my confidence was laughable. Like every good defender out there, I got to work on my heroes. My hope was that if I could get good enough at a reasonable level, I would feel comfortable playing in public lobbies. 2,500 hours later, well, there's still more work to be done, but I can say that I am so much more confident playing with others than when I started this journey. So, on February 28th, 2024, I hit the 5k hour mark. At that point, I had only posted 22 Dungeon Defender videos. These videos were my way of giving back to the community, but also a way to remember how I built a map. Since I had come and gone several times, it was difficult to remember things, and while the Dungeon Defender Planner is awesome, it's still nice to have a video to go along with it. Thinking back to where I was at the 5k mark and where I am now shows how much things can change in just 8 months. In February, I wasn't playing DPS maps at all. I was still afraid of Poly, Halloween Invasion, Wandering Heart, and Tavern Incursion. I was still grinding maps solo and hoping to find groups to play events with when they came around. Today I am comfortable in the lobbies and really enjoy all of these maps. From a YouTube perspective, I had no ambition to ever speak on a video. I wasn't even editing videos. All of those early videos are single-take recordings of a run made with NVIDIA GeForce. Granted, I still use GeForce to record my videos, but now every video gets edited in Premiere, so I can add voiceovers, fix audio, make cuts, and add the Heroes Use section at the end of each video. Since that 5k mark, I've upgraded from a $5 USB microphone to a nice Audio-Technica XLR microphone plugged into a Behringer Euphoria audio interface. The biggest change since February is that I became an event host for DD1 on September 14th. How this happened is just being active and in the right place at the right time, and also coyly mentioning that I would be an event host soon in Discord. It's funny to me how it all worked out, but being an event host has been such a rewarding experience and another way I can give back to the community I love. Alright, so that's an old man's trip down memory lane. What I wanted to showcase in this video are some before and afters of all of my heroes. Basically, here's where the hero was at 5k hours, and here's where the hero is at 6k hours. We'll see the growth of my stable of heroes and my attempt to become more than a below average player. So let's start with our builders, and then we'll move on to the massive amount of DPS heroes I have that I didn't have at 5k hours at all. Hey everyone, it's Theo, doing a jump cut on my own video here. This video was only supposed to be 10 minutes long. When I got done recording it, it turned out to be over 47 minutes long. I am very sorry. If you'll indulge and keep on watching, I appreciate it. If not, it's okay. This is a great video to sleep to. So I appreciate those who stick around. Just giving you guys a heads up. I talk a lot, and I'm very sorry for that. And now, on to my heroes. Alright, so I don't actually have screenshots of my old heroes. I wish I did. But unfortunately, I didn't start taking screenshots of any of my heroes until like 2013. So here we're going to look at, this is my Adept, your most important builder of all of them, your main damage dealer. And I can see that this is my 5k hero, And this is my 6K. I've definitely upgraded in a lot of different areas. So granted, the diamond didn't change anything at all, but I have increased some of my armor I had. But the biggest change was I went from a 2103 jeweled Bident, which I won in a raffle from Sickle, to a 2784. So my stats basically went up by about 680 points. And this was a gift from Jay, a buddy of mine, who I played a lot of Tavern Incursion with, and this was the Bident they won like on the very first time I ever completed Tavern Incursion. And they gave that to me as a gift, and I really appreciate Jay for all of his generosity. You're going to see a trend on a lot of my heroes where I have some Jay weapons on there. Really could not have done this without Jay. But in the end of the day, you see that my hero damage did not go up at all, really. It went down. It actually went down a point. But the bigger piece is that my rate went up, which is a definite bonus, and my range went up, which really helps with lightning towers and their chaining. So all in all, my Adept has definitely gotten better. One of the things I would definitely like to do moving forward, I just haven't had a lot of time to farm, is absolutely upgrade my boots, gloves, and helm. We'll see how that goes. Alright, moving on to our Adept. It's funny, when I first came back to this game, my Adept was hero spec'd into damage, where my aura radius was like 3,000, but my hero damage was 5,000. I mean, that was the meta so long ago. So back at the 5K hour mark, I had a 7K range, and this was the most important thing I needed to get to when I came back, is my monk, my initiate, was horrible. I only had 3K range, and I worked to get that up to about 5 to 6K at a certain point. But certain maps were just very difficult. Maps like Striking Tree were very hard to deal with. I mean, let's be honest. It was amazing that it was hard to deal with that map at 6K range. I found getting up to 7K range really changed how maps could be played for me. It made things a lot simpler. And as we can see from this, to get to 7K range, yeah, granted, okay, I definitely have cheaters and I have some amps in here, but you see, I'm in ultimate gear for the most part, and even that freaking plus up there is barely above an ultimate. So 7K stats are achievable, or at least high 6K stats are definitely achievable in just ultimate gear. Now, I've made a lot of improvements on my initiate from that 5K mark where I went up to 6K. The first thing is that since I became an event host, I did get a water magi, which is super cool, which goes with my blue theme for my initiate. I'm still wearing the cheaters, and ultimately I'm still having the same mischief maker. But all of my armor definitely upgraded, and we can see that my radius, my range for my ores definitely went from 7K to 8.3K, which is a huge jump. Very, very, very big. And you can see all the people's names as to this is armor I bought off of them for pretty cheap, honestly. I didn't spend a lot of CV on all the different pieces, but all those pieces have definitely helped my initiate and made building maps a lot easier too. Bigger range just makes things so much easier to deal with. You can definitely spread things out, and even it just makes things a lot simpler. All right, so definite improvement, going from 7K to 7.1 to 8.3 over the last 1,000 hours. That sounds crazy to say, 1,000 hours, geez. But yes, that's a definite improvement over that time span, over 8 months. Moving on, so Buffy. Buffy's actually has improved a lot. We see most of Buffy is in ultimate gear, and you can see 8K stats and tower damage is pretty dang good, considering they're just in almost all ultimate gear at that time. Yes, there's a diamond in there, and both of these Bidents cap at 600. They cap tower damage and tower HP. Buffy definitely has changed a big time. Now, granted, anything over like 2K stats, the increase is so minimal. So your EVs, yeah, we like bigger numbers, but I mean, really, everything scales so bad on an EV. But moving on from the 5K EV to the 6K EV, we see that I went from 8K stats to 9.3K stats. And part of that was because some of my Apprentice gear ended up moving over to my EV. And the other part is I started running Tavern Incursion, and I started running Tavern Incursion for a casino event where we had to run 75 runs of Tavern Incursion over the course of 2 weeks. And two of these, two of the plus Bidens I got are these two right here, and they both cap at 999 tower damage, which is super cool. And one of these Bidens actually caps tower HP as well. So my main stats that I really care about for my EV are definitely tower damage, and then tower health if we're doing physical walls and things like that, physical beams. So yes, my EV has definitely grown up. I did change out from a cheater to this Ancient Plume Mask of Legends in Memoriam set. It just has a nice little cosmetic bonus, and it looks super cool when the EV runs around on a map. Next is our Hermit. And the Hermit did change a little bit. I got rid of that Vortex Shield, which I had gotten from RCDM, and we got a beta reward, and that was that super cool green shield that looks really good on its back. Interestingly enough, when I'm looking at this, the Hermit did not actually improve a whole lot when I go back and forth. I see, yes, my HP went up a little bit, but my tower damage went down a little bit, but my range went up a little bit, but my rate went down a lot. So it's interesting that I improved some gear, and yet my stats really didn't improve much. So at the end of the day, I'd say that my Hermit pretty much just stood still. Still, the showpiece of the Hermit is this double capping Spear of Hearts that I got. Within the first 30 times I ever run Lover's Paradise campaign, I was trying to farm a heart crystal, and so I needed 88 crystals. So I knew I was gonna have to run that map 44 times, and in those 44 runs, I ended up getting this Spear of Hearts, which has 999 in tower damage and tower range, and like 850 in tower HP. And I haven't gotten a plus weapon from that map since, and I've run that map a lot. So just shows sometimes those early runs, man, they really can be quite fruitful. All right, after our Hermit, we end up going to our Huntress. Huntress is so very rarely used, and my old Huntress actually was spec'd completely into tower damage, and it had like a range of like 3k, which is hilarious to me now thinking about it. But we can see that my Huntress, for all intents and purposes, is just sitting in a bunch of ultimate gear with at this point, has a range capping crystal heart. Nothing overly special about her, but I did end up moving her away from pristine armor over to mail armor for her, and we ended up increasing our range from like 6.6 to 7.2. Not a big deal at the end of the day, but I was able to farm a forest rifle that caps range, so I got a 999 capping range rifle, which is super cool, and it also has a move speed bonus, which helps her run around the map a little bit faster. So overall, not a whole lot. I didn't lose a whole lot changing things. My damage stays the same pretty much, as did my HP. My rate actually dropped a bit, but my range went up pretty well. Our last builder is our Summoner. My Summoner actually had 2 diamonds that capped HP and capped damage. So my Summoner was already pretty decent. I had a couple plus pieces in there as well. And I also had capping. I had some capping glasses that were pretty nice, and some bracers that got pretty high from THP. Moving to the 6K version of the Summoner, they went from having those 2 diamonds to having some Christmas Magi's, which are super cute. They look really good on her. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. Although I was able to upgrade the boots a little bit, so my tower HP went up by about like 300 points. When you get to at a certain point, once you get to ultimate gear, and you're working your way from ultimate gear to plus gear, your advancements are very small and incremental. And then once you get to like all reds, your advancements sometimes maybe 15, 20, 30 points. You make big strides going from trans to ultimate gear, and then ultimate to plus. You can definitely make some huge gains. 300 to 500 in stats sometimes. But your progress and your growth becomes very, very, very small as you get higher and higher up. So the summoner, not a whole lot changed. We actually went down in some tower damage, which is fine with me, just for an increase in tower health. Because at the end of the day, summoner minions are all about walls. They're not really about killing anything. That's for app towers and hermits and things like that. And then we get to a hero I haven't dealt with probably since 2014. Our Countess, our Squire towers. Countess has not changed. Apparently I swapped out some gear. I gave her a new helmet. At the end of the day, I don't focus on this hero at all. This is just old gear that just sits on this character. I haven't used the Countess builder since maybe last October of 2023, when there was a contest that we couldn't use apprentices on, and we had to beat a certain map without apprentice. That might be the last time I've played with this character. So this character the Countess unfortunately gets no love at all. All right, moving on to our upgrade Adept, or Adept upgrade, or however you want to call it. All right, not a whole lot's happened for her. At the end of the day, it's not a hero I focus on a lot because how they were doing is pretty much perfectly fine how they are today. I did go up some stats, absolutely. I went up about almost 600 points. And some of that could be attributed to the genie that I got, and then getting a capping chest, and then upgrading the helmet and the gloves. Ultimately, I'd like to focus on this hero more as we move on, but at 7k AB1 stat, which is the most important stat you have, they do just fine. The truth of the matter is, I don't have a whole lot of time to farm with my schedule at work and just the things I do around Discord, even in my video schedule. So I'd really like more time to farm armor. I find it kind of relaxing and fun. I just haven't had the time to do that, and honestly, I haven't had the time to do that since I made the Temple of Polybus beginner's guide video. That was back in June. So I am woefully behind in my armor farming. But I have gotten lucky in some aspects where people have gifted me some armor, which I really appreciate, which is Monarchy and Thalas, and been able to buy some armor with the winnings. Like I said, I was in a casino for Tavern Incursion, and I did win that, so I did get a nice pool of CV that allowed me to buy some armor for some pieces that would fit my heroes. So Gabilli, she definitely did improve a bit. She can definitely improve more if I would focus on this hero a little bit more. I'd definitely like to get a ++. I'd like to get a better Serpent Staff. It's like I said, it's just priorities and what I want to work on, what I want to farm next. And right now, Tomb of Etheria is not the map I want to be farming right now. So that's our Adept. Our next is, as you can see, this is a DPS Apprentice. Now, DPS Apprentice was like almost never really much of anything when I came back. Nobody was really using them per se. And so I just threw a bunch of heroes on here. And really what Cadderly was really for was, as you can see, it's got a Huntress Guardian. Wasn't much as a DPS, but was more just a Guardian hero so that I could, when I was farming Ember Mount Volcano, so I could get the Ember Scepters, I needed to have a bunch of apprentices out there, so I would have Cadderly and my other DPS apprentice, which wasn't a DPS apprentice either, and so I'd have them out there along with the Builder Apprentice, so I could get as many Ember Scepters as I possibly could. So I never used them for DPS at all. Didn't really start thinking about DPSing with an apprentice until I started farming Emerald City, and I did a lot of Emerald City farming when I was working on the video for that, and then I haven't played the map since. So Cadderly, obviously this was just a hero I threw together, and that's why really, its biggest stat was hero health. Just because I just want to keep them alive because they weren't going to be doing anything else. And so I have moved Cadderly from being just out there to stay alive and boost towers to now more of a full focused DPS hero. with thanks from Thalos, who gave me this gear to help me out. So I really appreciate Thalos for that. As you see, hero damage is pretty high, 6.8k, which is pretty good. I actually spec'd all my points into AB1 at first, and oddly enough, I mean, dropping down to like 5.8k damage and 3k AB1 was worse. So I've been told anywhere from 2 to 3k AB1 stat is perfectly fine for your apprentice, but it does seem to scale a lot better off of hero damage. And so for this hero, definitely improved a lot. You see, now I'm not even spec'ing the hero health, and I still have pretty decent health at 4k, over 4k health, without even spec'ing into it. And my hero damage definitely went up, as well as my AB1 and my AB2. It's definitely helped by this 516 upgrade Bident I farmed during the casino. So it does very well. Obviously, a Bident isn't the greatest apprentice weapon for DPS, and an Emerald Staff or a Crystal King would be the two better options for that. I just don't have time to actually farm those maps. I will eventually, but for now, I really like this pink Bident on my apprentice. Looks pretty good. And then I got a little Munchkin, which is a 213 boost event cat that goes along with Cadderly. Looks really cool. Doesn't get in the way. It's not too big. It's a really small guy, so it never gets in the way of my screen. But yes, Cadderly definitely took a huge jump from the 5k to the 6k hours. I didn't even care enough to name the armor at that time. So yeah, pretty bad. Then we have Elminster. Elminster is another Guardian apprentice I just threw out there. We can see Elminster definitely had almost 5k health. And so Elminster has changed. I haven't worked on them at all because I haven't found the need to have a bomber apprentice that's focused on like an AB2. I don't know if there's really a need for that. But now this one's been streamlined a little bit. I have more damage and obviously less health, but I'm not really thinking about that. And you can see how much I've paid attention to this hero because I still have a Huntress Guardian sitting on them. Not a lot has changed at all, but they are also sporting a 65.8k Build Bident that I also farmed during the casino. That casino was massively fruitful, and if I really actually cared about this hero at all, I would not have like Lord Vile's Clutch event bracers on there because those are low stat bracers. I'd replace that. So if there's a need for this hero, I'll definitely work on this hero. But right now, this hero is just out there to get Ember Scepters when I'm farming that map. Moving on to my Countess. So I threw this Countess together real quick, and I can tell based on this picture, I have no idea what I'm even doing with these numbers. I don't even know what 524 means, what 395, I don't even know what stat I'm paying attention to on that. It might be AB1, for all I know. I can't tell. But I was just starting to build out this hero, because the Countess was one of the heroes that was kind of needed or talked about a lot for Temple of Polybus runs. And I knew I wanted to start getting into that at a certain point. And so I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and start one up. And obviously, Ren Dyers gave me an owl, and Ryan Elks gave me a Seablade, which is super important and really helped me shoot through walls when I was going after crystals during the assault phase. So this hero definitely was a work in progress. It wasn't even a work in progress. It was just kind of thrown together because I just, the armor I had around, just threw it together. But since the 5k mark, I've really worked on Countess because I play a lot of poly. I play a lot of temple. I play a lot of poly, but I play a lot of pub lobbies. And Countess is one of my favorite heroes to use on that map, regardless of what people think. So Lzzy definitely went from just being this haphazardly thrown together hero to a hero that has more HP, more damage. Granted, it has less AB1, but I don't think AB1 is this has to have a huge stat. I mean, I think if you went up to like 8k AB1, then it might be close to maybe a 3k or 4k like hero boost monk. But Lzzy, definitely great. Yeah, I definitely went from using the regular Countess skin to a mermaid. I think you see a lot of Countess mermaids out there, which is always fun. But this one, Lzzy is definitely sporting the Lover's Cupid. I would definitely love to upgrade my Lover's Cupid to something in red, and then finish out the last 2 pieces in red. The most important, my favorite part of this entire hero is the Plutonian shield, which looks super freaking cool. It's just a good looking shield on the Countess. So she's definitely been a hero I've improved, and it's a hero I actually definitely use a lot. Alright, moving on to our next hero is Lzzy Hale, who is my DPS Huntress. I did not have this Huntress at all when I was at 5k stats. Huntress became a really big hero around version 9.3 when they upgraded the piercing shot, and you could just annihilate bosses from across the map with this. They've since nerfed it, so she's not as awesome as she was during 9.3. In the early parts of the 9.4 version, she still has uses. On the new map like Jester Spook, using her is really advantageous if you want to shoot down those megacopters on the last wave. As you can see here, so she looked pretty bad up until just a few weeks ago, where Monarchy donated all of this gear, which I really appreciate him giving me. The honey gun is a gun from Pep, so I appreciate, he loaned that to me when I first started building out. Lzzy, not a hero I use a whole lot. I tend to play other heroes, but I like that I have her available if I'm in a pub, and a Huntress is actually needed. So Lily was my DPS / upgrader Jester. I only had one Jester at this time, and we can definitely tell that this is my upgrader Jester. It has this negative tower range, which was a thing back in 2013, 2014 if you wanted to move Huntress traps closer to your core. But I also have a Madness Boulder Thrower there, so and a Mana Master, which is not a very good genie, even though it's an event genie. So this hero was just kind of a mix of, it was trying to be a jack of all trades. It's going to be an upgrader and a DPS hero and a zero range Jester and a wheeler all at the same time. Obviously your wheel caps at 3726, so I always made sure that was good to go. At the end of the day, this is just how we did Jesters back then. So Lily has definitely seen some changes. Lily, I have 4 Jesters. I only had 1 Jester, and at the 5k mark, I now have 4 Jesters. So there's a lot going on with my Jesters. So Lily has changed a lot. I can see here that my health and my damage has gone up. Still maintaining, at least the 3726 cap for my wheel. But Lily is a much different hero now. Lily is for DPS. I use Lily when I'm playing Tavern Incursion, especially for the old one fight with my Moonstaff, which came from Jay again. I appreciate Jay again for the donation. Just the gift. Super guy. I really, really, really appreciate Jay. Thank you so much. Sporting the Rainmaker. It's just classic. I didn't want to sport the new Downpour. I just go with the classic Rainmaker. I just like the way it looks. I like the way it shoots. I know it doesn't have as good a spread as the Downpour does. I still like it. And Lily also in the punk costume that came from Jester's Spooktacular, and is also sporting, the new event pet, Church, which is a 213 boost cat, which has the same stats as a Munchkin. So yes, Lily definitely changed a lot. More focused as to what Lily is, as opposed to being an all-in-one Jester. So we move on. We got Zoe. Zoe is actually a upgrader. It's a zero range upgrade Jester. The AB2 is capped at 3726, so we're good there. And we can see that the main stat for this hero is cast rate. That's for ultimate upgrading. And I have Zoe definitely decked out. She looks pretty cool in all of this gear that matches each other. It has a nice, cool green-red theme. And the waterfall definitely, with its negative 999 range, helps with the negative tower range. I don't know if I have really found a use for having a negative range anymore, but it's still nice to have. And Gaia's Last Gift is still just a cool-looking event, a weapon that shoots through walls. It's not as used as you'll see most people using, like lover's bows and things like that, but it still looks really, really cool with all the other gear that Zoe wears. And Zoe did not exist during the 5K era. So Zoe is a new hero that's only come about in the last, I'd say, probably month, 2 months or so. Moving on, we have Abby and we have Emma. These are two other Jesters. These are my wheeler Jesters. The important part for them is that they wheel their AB2 stat. It caps at 3726, and that's the most important thing, and that's all that I've done for these two heroes. You can see that Emma is sporting the Downpour. Abby, I actually have 2 Rainmakers. Abby's sporting another Rainmaker. But at the end of the day, their job is just to roll. They're not doing anything else but that. And we come to Ardimas. Ardimas has changed some since the 5K mark. I was already pretty stoked with Ardimas at the back then. This is my Tower Boost Monk with capping accessories. And they're all Tomb of Etheria accessories too. I love the way these accessories actually look. So I was super happy to have AB1 capping a brooch and mask and a pretty decent bracer. I mean, really, if you can find like 445 bracers, that's pretty good. I'm not too terribly worried that I don't have a capping bracer, you could say. But at the end of the day, my stats are about 7K and AB1, which is pretty good for me. I'm pretty happy with that. And that's not bad considering I am in just capping ultimate gear. So Ardimas has definitely changed, going from 7.3K AB1 stat to an 8.2 stat. Pretty good, pretty big upgrade. And I've just managed to purchase some low, I don't like to call it low end because it's still good armor, but just cheap gear at the end of the day. I got that helm. I've had that helm forever. I won that in a raffle back in 2020. And I keep looking to upgrade it, and it just never seems to happen. So Ardimas is all red, and I'm pretty happy about that. But I would definitely like, to get a better helmet, and maybe even a capping Madness Boulder Thrower. We'll just see how that goes. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with 8K AB1 stats. Now we go to my DPS hero, and Battlehammer has definitely changed since the 5K mark. I was pretty happy that I got the gloves. The gloves are nice. 1,500 gloves are pretty sweet. But at the end of the day, I wasn't doing a lot of DPSing with monks back then. You can see I got a turtle shell polearm. That was my main weapon. And actually, when I came back to the game, my main weapon was the Vamp's Delight, which was an event weapon that we gave out in 2013. That was my main DPS weapon. So my monk definitely needed a lot of work. And he's got 5K damage and like 4.4K AB2, which is fine and commendable. And I got a pretty decent 62K little wizard that was really nice. But around May and June, during the beta season, they gave out Black Mages. And the Black Mage, honestly, is about the exact same, does about the same damage as my 62K little wizard here, which is an Ultimate Plus wizard. So Battlehammer definitely changed a lot from then. He went up to 7K hero damage, actually increased his hero health by about 500, and AB2 increased by about 600. And we see Jay's name in here again. Jay giving me a 12K Mischief Maker, which really helped my DPSing out. It did help that I ended up moving some of my cheaters over to my DPS monk, and what really helped was getting that 1770 chest from Magus Citadel actually, which is a super nice chest piece. I actually got that helm, that 1301 helm, like one of the early runs I did with NTACC on Insane. So that was a nice upgrade from what I had. And so all around, this DPS hero has definitely carried me far. I generally will spec all of my hero points into health and end up going like with 4.5k health and only 6k hero damage when I'm playing Tavern Incursion, because I care more about surviving than I'm really caring about damage. But at the end of the day, my monk is always sporting a Black Mage for the most part. Right, a new addition to the group is Stormforge, which is another DPS monk. Not so much I'm a DPS monk now. I've thrown him together. My goal is to turn him into a hero boost monk. So at a certain point, my hero damage is probably going to go down into the 3k range, and my hope is that I can get my hero boost up into the 8k range. So right now, this hero I'm just using right now to farm. I'm AFKing Jester Spook, the boss fight, with Battlehammer and Stormforge, just sitting down there and having their black and white mages just shoot the boss while either one of them is hero boosting. And so the armor they have on right now is just armor I had sitting in one of my AFK shops, and I threw it together. So this hero still needs a lot of work to go on, and I would plan on using them in tavern lobbies, tavern incursion lobbies, I should say, with like 8k. My goal is to get up to 8k AB2 so I can be more of a support hero, more supporting everyone else and less about me doing damage. Ultron actually ended up getting a name change in 6k, and the reason they got a name change is because I got a Cheshire. Cheshire is a exclusive event that was given to about 8 people, and these were the 8 people who did the most testing during the Ruthless beta testing and private beta. We did a lot of testing before that was released, and this was the reward for that. And so Cheshire is a pink event cat. It's basically it's a recolored munchkin, and they're pink. They look cool, and because of that, I'm like, you know what? Ultron's gonna go and turn into pink. So Ultron's color changed from red and gray to a nice pink. All looks really super cool. But at the end of the day, I haven't done a whole lot with this hero because this hero wasn't really used a whole lot until I started playing Poly. And so there's a lot of things I'd like to do with this hero. I haven't upgraded the armor that much. I did get some boots recently, which helped upgrade some things. So my damage is going up, my health is going up, and my AB2 is going up. But the progress has been slow because this is not a hero I've been focusing on, because this hero isn't used very often, honestly. And having a Rock Shatter there, which I got that Rock Shatter in the original event back in 2013, is pretty nice. It's basically 999 hero damage, 999 AB2, and like 600 hero health. So it's a stat stick. Ultimately, you'd probably want a stat stick with move speed because EVs, especially this EV, goes super slow. So having something with move speed would be much better. I hope to get to that point if I can find myself with a better stat stick for move speed. That would definitely go on Pinkie. Another hero I did not have at the 5k range was a Squire. Squires became very, 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 well, are very popular for assault stages. So for Poly, and for Tavern Incursion, and for Ethereum Gauntlet, this is my main hero. And so Theo has been gotten built up. This was the hero I focused on the most when I was trying to start doing Poly. And so I really, really wanted to make sure I put some time and attention into this hero. So the first thing that happened was I bought some armor off of Tate. Very appreciative of Tate. He gave me a very, very sweetheart deal, I'll say. The other armor I did farm. And so once I had my armor up and ready, I wanted to get myself an Ultimate Crystalline Defender, which means I had to go ahead and beat Goo. So then I started doing all the things I needed to do to beat the Great Old One so that you can get that one-time reward of an Ultimate Defender shield, which actually is just a shield that has a move speed bonus and has like 100s in all stats. So I ended up 161 times I tried to beat that boss before I finally did and earn the shield. But then I replaced that shield with the Ultimate Defender shield, Ultimate Dungeon Defender shield, which is a purple version of the same shield. I got Mr. Crackers as a gift. Jay, we're going to say Jay's name a lot in this video. Jay worked his magic and ended up buying me a Crackers from a friend of his. And that friend ended up gifting that Crackers to me, which is really more Jay bought it and then he gave it to me. So Jay is the reason why I got a Mr. Crackers. And then last but not least, the Calamity Blade is another result of that casino run I did. 100k Calamity Blade, I'm super, super happy with that. And it's kind of purplish, which really goes well with the Ultimate Dungeon Defender shield. But I really can't complain. I'm pretty happy with 4k health, 7.5k damage, and 4k AB2. Pretty happy with this hero. even though the hero could be better. This is not what I'm focusing on right now. Now we're going to get to 2 other like niche, really niche heroes. And so what they are is, and you'll start seeing, I name my summoners after female metal singers. So we got Alissa White-Gluz and Tarja Turunen, and they are basically summoners which are in DPS gear. This one right now is configured to deal with, I'm using this one to farm Jester Spook, where they just stand at a certain spot and they heal my heroes, but they also boost my heroes with the prop cat. The other reason I would probably end up using this hero, I use these 2 heroes a lot when I was farming Wandering Heart, because I would just sit these 2 DPS summoners on top of the crystal as it was moving its way through the mines and doing its thing. So they're very niche uses. But again, I did not have these heroes at all at the 5k mark. I had them at, I built them for specific reasons. And honestly, with the amount of experience orbs that exist and that are given away for free, you can build characters a lot quicker than in the old days where we had to spend all this time upgrading them. We're doing Tinks runs or Crystal Cave survival runs. It's so, if you just want to try a hero, you get an XP orb, go down to the basement, create a hero, then level them up to 100, and you're ready to go. It's no longer you're going to grind 5-6 hours of a map just to upgrade a hero to play around with. So at the end of the day, these heroes are about just doing some DPS work. They don't do a whole lot. They're very niche uses, but they do exist in the 6k world today for me. Now we get to my Guardian Summoners. Not a lot's changed with these guys. Floor is still flooring it up. Their hero HP's gone up, and I ended up changing out the Guardians to a couple of new exclusive, I don't want to say exclusive, but more recolored Guardians, Strawberry and Grapes, which are just Huntress and Monk Guardians at the end of the day. Simone has definitely changed too. She's gone from just having Rosemary and a Monk to now having Rosemary and Lime Pie, and I got a couple nice plus pieces in there to upgrade that hero health. These heroes are all about staying alive and boosting towers during survival runs. We got Brittany, same boat, but she now gets 2 cinnamons now, which is really nice. Lightstepper actually changed because this is the one dude. This is originally going to be my DPS. This was my DPS summoner originally, but I ended up changing that, and now Lightstepper is now Tatiana. And she is sporting a blueberry and a strawberry guardian, and her job is just to stay alive as well and boost towers. So those are my 4 guardian summoners. Those are the ones at the very top row that I can easily bring into my maps by just pressing, F6, and all four of the heroes just show up in there. That's the reason they're there. That's why I got them. And that is it. That is all of my heroes. This was a stupidly long video of me just bloviating about my heroes. I'm gonna be honest. There ain't nothing special about any of these heroes. There are players out there with far better heroes. It's just interesting to me, and I don't know why I would even talk about this on a video, to see just the differences in the changes of your heroes from 5k to 6k. Or you look at what you had at a certain point of time and you go, holy jeez, I went from only using 16 heroes total to now I got a stable of 36 heroes. So it's fun for me. If you're still here, wow, well, thank you. But most of all, I just really want to thank you all. This is my 100th Dungeon Defenders video. So it's not only a 6k hour celebration, but it is also a celebration of my 100th Dungeon Defender video. What am I going to do in the future? I don't know. Work has been very busy. And so I don't really know what's next for me. I'm going to try to put up some more videos, at least one a week. It's my goal. It's sometimes hard, especially the way I do videos now, where I'm actually doing voiceovers, and I'm doing a lot more editing to them. I can't put out 2 videos a week like I used to, or even have a nice back. I have a whole bunch of videos already just ready to release on a schedule. I'm pretty much making these videos the day before they get dropped now, as opposed to almost having a month to 2 months ahead of schedule. So I don't know where we're going to go next. I definitely really want to get a Jester Spook video out there. I definitely want to have ruthless versions of all the different maps that I've run. The problem I'm running into with that is there's not established builds for a lot of these things yet, and so there's a lot more testing involved. And unfortunately for me, like, the maps are changing after I make them, and I don't like that. Case in point, Ruthless Survival has changed a lot. Has changed in just in some recent updates since when I posted like the baby Dragon Lord, the baby Demon Lord, and the baby Goblin Mech survival farms. Well, those videos aren't really representative of what it is today because the mobs have changed now. The waves are going to be longer, and I don't, I'm gonna be honest. It just bothers me that it's not representative of what you may experience today playing that thing. So I don't know if I'm gonna start putting disclaimers as to, hey, this video is of this map as of this particular patch note, because Ruthless is still being balanced out and changed and worked on. So I don't know what the future holds for how I'm going to do videos. If I just wait like many months before I start doing some of the videos, just because I do want to be able to capture and record, how things, what you could expect, and that's gonna be difficult if maps change. Like I said, those 3 baby pet farm maps I did for the original trilogy, the original maps. Well, those maps also drop, ruthless versions of giraffes on treadmills now, which aren't part of the video. I don't know if anyone's going to really want giraffes at this point. If you're already farming ruthless, chances are you really don't need giraffes. And if you don't have crystals, or you don't have hearts, or you don't have diamonds or magicites as your pets, or islands, you're probably farming gemstones on Crystal Cave and not really farming giraffes. Because the giraffe only has like a 1.2 move speed, which is pretty slow compared to the other, which is not slow, but slower than the other builder pets I talked about earlier. So I'm rambling on like an old man, so I apologize. So I'm going to cut this video. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thanks everyone who made it this far. Thanks for watching, and happy farming.